The night market was alive with strange sounds and glowing colors. But to Ethan, a human trader passing through, it all felt heavy and uneasy. He walked through the alien bazaar slowly, carrying his small bag, watching the different species bargain and shout in voices that echoed against the metal walls of the station. He had been here many times before, but tonight something felt different. The air was thicker, filled with tension, as if the whole market was holding its breath. He didn't know why. He only knew that his instincts told him not to stay too long. Then, cutting through the noise, he heard it. A voice, soft yet sharp with fear, a cry, "Human, please, come with me." Ethan froze, his eyes scanned the crowd. Between tall reptilian merchants and short insect-like workers, he spotted her, an alien girl. Her skin glowed faintly under the neon lights. Like pale silver, her eyes wide, wet with tears, she was trembling, clutching something close to her chest. Their eyes met for a heartbeat, and she whispered again, desperate, "Come with me." Before Ethan could even think, her hand grabbed his sleeve. Small, cold fingers pulled at him with surprising strength. She dragged him into a narrow alley, the kind where shadows swallowed all light. "Wait, what's going on?" Ethan asked, trying to pull back. But her grip only tightened. Her breathing was fast, her voice shaking. "They will find me. They will hurt me. You must help. Please." Behind them, heavy footsteps echoed. Alien guards in dark armor pushed through the crowd, scanning the area. Their weapons glowed faintly, ready to strike. They were looking for someone, and Ethan realized with a shock it was her. His heart raced. He should have walked away. He should have said, "Not my problem." But something in her eyes stopped him. That fear was too real, too raw. They turned a corner. Deeper into the shadows, the girl pressed him against a wall. Her small body trembling, she placed a finger to her lips, begging him to stay silent. The guards' voices rang out, harsh and metallic. "Find the girl, she cannot escape." Ethan's breath caught in his throat. The girl was so close he could feel the chill from her skin. Her tears glistened under the faint blue glow of a broken lamp. "Why me?" he whispered, almost angry. "Why did you call me?" Her lips trembled and she whispered back, "Because only you can help me, only a human." Those words struck him like a blade. What could that mean? Why a human? He wasn't special. He was just a trader, a man trying to survive far from home. The footsteps came closer. The guards were searching, scanning the walls with beams of red light. Ethan felt his chest tighten. He could almost hear his own heartbeat echoing louder than the shouts of the guards. The girl pulled him further down the alley, into a small passage hidden behind stacked crates. The space was so narrow Ethan had to turn sideways to fit. The girl moved quickly, like she knew every hidden corner of this place. Finally, they slipped into a dark chamber. The door behind them sealed with a heavy clang. Silence fell, broken only by the girl's soft sobs. Ethan stood in the dim room, his back pressed against the cold wall. His mind was racing, his voice came out sharp. "You better explain, what did you drag me into?" The girl sank to her knees, clutching the object she had held so tightly. When she opened her hands, Ethan saw a strange crystal, glowing faintly with a pulsing light. It wasn't just a stone, it felt alive. Her voice cracked as she spoke. "They want this, they want me, if they get it. Many will die." Ethan stared at her, his body stiff, his mind screamed to leave, to run. Yet deep down something told him that turning away now would haunt him forever. The girl lifted her tear-stained face, looking at him with eyes that shimmered like broken glass. "Please, human, if you walk away, I am dead. And maybe your people too." The weight of her words pressed down on him. He felt the ground shift beneath his feet, as if the whole galaxy had suddenly placed a burden on his shoulders. Outside, the guards' boots thundered against the metal floor. Their voices grew louder. They were close. Ethan knew it was only a matter of time before they broke in. The girl reached out, her hand trembling as it touched his arm. "You followed me now. Will you stay?" Ethan's chest tightened, his throat went dry. He had a choice: walk away and let her be captured, or stand by her side and face the unknown. And in that silent, breathless chamber, he realized his life was no longer his own. The silence inside the chamber did not last long. Outside, the pounding of boots grew louder. Metal clanged as the guards spread out. Searching every corner, Ethan's breath grew heavy. His eyes darted to the door. He knew they had little time. The alien girl wiped her tears quickly, her voice low and urgent. "We can't stay here. They'll find us." Before Ethan could ask where they were going, She grabbed his hand again and pulled him toward a small side passage. Her grip was tight, almost desperate. Her cold skin made his arm shiver. He followed because there was no choice. The sound of armored boots crashing closer pushed him forward. The passage opened back into the edge of the market. The air was thick with smoke. Food spices and alien sweat. Crowds still filled the bazaar, unaware of the danger hunting just a few steps away. "Keep your head down," the girl whispered. Her hood covered most of her glowing skin now, but her trembling gave her away. Ethan did his best to look casual, walking beside her as if they were nothing more than a merchant and his helper. But the guards were fast. Their sharp voices shouted commands. "Block the exits! Search the stalls! She cannot escape!" Ethan's stomach twisted. He had seen alien patrols before, but never so many at once. Dozens of armored figures spread out, their red scanners sweeping across faces, beams of light passing dangerously close. The girl pulled him between two tall reptilian vendors. The creatures hissed angrily at them, waving long claws, but she ignored them. They slipped behind a stall full of glowing fruit. Ethan's shoulders brushed against the sticky surface of the produce. His nerves screamed at him to stop, to break free, but her hand pulled harder. They ducked into another narrow alley, but a voice rang out. "There! She's with the human!" Ethan's blood ran cold. A guard had spotted them. The crowd gasped and moved back, giving space as the soldiers rushed forward. "Run!" the girl shouted. For the first time, her voice broke into a cry of both fear and command. Ethan didn't need telling twice. His legs moved on their own. They ran through the twisting market streets, past stalls that blurred into streaks of color. Behind them, the heavy boots thundered. The guards shouted, energy weapons charging with a sharp hum. A bolt of red light struck the wall just beside Ethan's head. He stumbled, the heat burning his cheek. "The girl yanked him up before he fell! This way!" she cried, turning sharply into a path so narrow even the guards hesitated to follow. Sparks rained down from broken lights above. The smell of rust and oil filled Ethan's nose. His chest heaved, his lungs burned, but he kept running. The girl moved fast, her small frame slipping easily through the tight paths. Ethan struggled to keep up, but the sound of pursuit gave him strength. They burst out of the alley into another section of the market. Brighter and more crowded voices shouted in confusion as people stumbled back. Knocking over crates and baskets, the guards were slower, their heavy armor clashing against the walls, but they did not stop. The girl pulled Ethan into a shadowed corner beneath a staircase. Both pressed against the wall, chests rising and falling in sharp breaths. Ethan wiped sweat from his brow, his voice harsh. "Why are they after you? What is that thing you carry?" Her eyes glimmered in the dim light, filled with both fear and sadness. She opened her mouth but closed it again. Her silence made Ethan's frustration boil. "You dragged me into this," he hissed. "You owe me the truth," her lips trembled. But before she could speak, a loud crash echoed through the market. The guards had forced their way closer, knocking over stalls, shoving aside anyone in their path. The people screamed and scattered, chaos spreading like fire. The girl looked at Ethan, her voice sharp now. "Later, human, if we stop now, we die." She grabbed his wrist again. Pulling him out from the shadows, they dashed up the staircase, the metal steps rattling under their feet. At the top, the path split into two bridges overlooking the chaos below. Ethan's legs ached, but the sight below made his blood turn to ice. Dozens of guards were searching, some even questioning merchants at blaster point. The whole market was under lockdown. The girl whispered quickly, "They won't stop. They'll tear this place apart to find me." "And you brought them all to me," Ethan muttered bitterly, but even as he said it, he couldn't slow down. His body moved with hers, as if pulled into a storm he couldn't escape. On the second bridge, a guard spotted them, his weapon raised. "There, stop!" A red beam cut through the air, barely missing their feet. The bridge shook, sparks flying. Ethan grabbed the girl's arm and pulled her forward this time, his voice loud and determined. "Move!" They sprinted across the bridge, turned down another stair, and slipped once again into the dark, narrow veins of the station. The chase had not ended, but for now, the shadows gave them cover. The girl leaned against the wall, gasping for breath. Her hood had fallen, her silver skin glowing faintly again. Her eyes glistened with tears, but also something else. Trust. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice weak. "You didn't have to stay." Ethan stared at her, chest still rising and falling. His voice came out rough. "I don't even know who you are or what you're hiding, but if I walk away now, I'll never forgive myself." Her lips curved into a sad smile, one that carried both relief and sorrow. She clutched the glowing crystal tighter and whispered words that chilled him. "They'll never stop, human, not until I am gone. Or you are." And in that moment, Ethan knew. The chase was only beginning. The station's alleys twisted like a maze. The girl led Ethan through dark tunnels where the smell of oil and rust mixed with the faint hum of machines. Their footsteps echoed softly, but behind them the shouts of the guards still rang. Sometimes far, sometimes close, always hunting. Ethan's legs ached. His chest burned, but the girl never slowed. She moved with the certainty of someone who had traveled these paths many times. Finally, she stopped in front of an old maintenance hatch half buried under stacked crates. She looked at him with sharp, tear-stained eyes. "Help me open it," she whispered. Ethan hesitated. His instinct screamed this was a mistake, but the noise of the search drew nearer. He pressed his shoulder to the metal hatch, pushing with all his strength. With a loud groan, the door slid open. Dust fell from the frame. The girl pulled him inside and sealed the hatch behind them. Darkness swallowed them whole for a moment. Ethan could only hear his own ragged breath. Then the girl raised her hand. The crystal she carried glowed faintly, bathing the chamber in pale blue light. The room stretched deep underground, walls lined with strange carvings and old, broken machines. The air was cold still. Ethan stepped forward slowly, his voice low. "What is this place?" The girl knelt by the carvings. Her silver skin reflected the glow of the crystal. Her fingers traced the lines on the wall. "A place forgotten, a place of my people. Long before the guards, before the market above. This was our refuge." Ethan narrowed his eyes. "Your people? You mean you're not like the others out there?" Her lips trembled. She didn't answer directly. Instead, she held out the crystal. Its pulsing glow brightened the symbols on the wall, and suddenly the carvings seemed alive. Shifting like they were breathing, Ethan stepped back, his chest tight. "What is this? Some kind of tech?" She looked up at him, her voice soft but filled with weight. "It's not only tech, it's memory. It carries the truth of my kind. That's why they want it. That's why they want me." Ethan's mind spun. He wasn't a soldier or a spy, he was a traitor. A man who only wanted safe deals and quiet days. And yet here he was, standing in a room that felt older than the stars, listening to a girl who carried a secret that others would kill for. He pressed his palms against the cold wall, frustration bubbling. "Why me? Why drag me into this? I don't know your people, I don't know your truth." The girl's eyes filled with sorrow. "You're human," she whispered. "And humans. You see things differently. My people believe only a human can open the memory." Ethan froze. His heart thudded. "That's insane, I'm just a man." But even as he said it, the carvings glowed brighter near his hands. The light spread slowly, symbols coming alive under his touch. The girl gasped, covering her mouth. "It's you," she breathed. "The crystal responds to you." Ethan jerked his hands back, fear shooting through him. The light dimmed instantly. His body shivered as if the chamber itself had breathed through him. "No," he muttered, "I don't want this, whatever this is." "It's not my fight." The girl stood, her voice firmer now. "It became your fight the moment you answered my cry. If you walk away now, you'll carry the weight of what happens next." Her words struck deep, heavier than the market chaos, heavier than the guards. He stared at her, this fragile girl, trembling yet determined, and felt the edges of his resolve weaken. But before he could speak, a sharp noise cut through the silence. A faint metallic clang, boots. Ethan's blood chilled. Someone was in the tunnels above. The guards had tracked them this far. The girl gripped the crystal tighter, panic flashing across her face. "They're coming. We must move deeper." She pulled him to the far end of the chamber, where another narrow passage waited. Ethan glanced back once, the carvings glowing faintly as if calling to him. Then he turned and followed. The tunnel twisted downward, colder and darker with every step. Strange echoes whispered along the walls. Ethan's skin prickled. It felt like the station itself was alive, watching them. Finally, the tunnel opened into a vast underground hall. A broken dome stretched above, cracked windows showing a sliver of stars outside. The ruins of old machines lay scattered. Half buried in dust, Ethan stood still, staring in awe. This doesn't look like a hideout. This looks like a temple." The girl's voice was hushed. "It is. This was once the heart of my people's knowledge. And now it's nothing but ruins, but inside the crystal, the last piece remains." Ethan swallowed hard. His chest rose and fell. The weight of the moment pressed down on him. The chase had led him here, but he knew it was only the beginning. The girl turned to him, her silver eyes glowing with both fear and hope. You see now, human, why I cried to you, why I chose you if the guards take me. Everything ends. Ethan clenched his fists. The truth was still hidden, but he felt the edge of it pressing against him like a storm waiting to break. Above them, the faint echo of boots returned. Closer, sharper. The guards had not given up. They were coming into the ruins. Ethan looked at the girl, then at the crystal, then at the shadows that grew darker around them. And in that silence, he realized something terrifying. Whatever secret this girl carried, it wasn't just about her people, it was about him too. The underground hall shook with faint vibrations. Dust drifted down from the cracked dome above. Ethan and the alien girl froze, listening. The sound of armored boots echoed through the tunnels. The guards were getting closer. Ethan clenched his jaw. His mind screamed at him to run, but there was nowhere left to run. The temple walls surrounded them, and the only way out was the same way the enemy was coming in. The girl held the glowing crystal close to her chest. Her voice trembled but carried strength. They cannot have it. Human, if they take this, not only my people, but your kind will suffer too. Ethan's fists tightened. He wanted answers. He wanted to understand why he, out of all humans in the galaxy, had been pulled into this. But there was no time for questions. A beam of red light flashed through the entrance of the hall. A guard appeared, his visor glowing. His voice harsh and metallic. There she is. Take her alive. Kill the human if you must. Ethan's body reacted before his mind could. He grabbed the girl's hand and pulled her behind a broken machine. Energy bolts crackled against the walls, sending shards of stone flying. The girl crouched low, her silver eyes locked on him. You fight with me? She asked, almost in disbelief. Ethan's breath was rough, but his words came out steady. Looks like I don't have a choice. The guards spread through the hall. Their heavy boots pounded against the ancient floor. Red beams swept across the ruins. Searching every shadow, Ethan peeked out, counting at least 7 of them. Too many for a simple trader with no weapon. He scanned the ground desperately. His eyes landed on a broken metal rod from one of the old machines. He picked it up, the weight heavy in his hands. Primitive against their advanced rifles. But it was something, the girl whispered. There's a way deeper beneath the altar, but it can only open with the crystal's light. Hold them off, I will try. Ethan almost laughed at the madness of it. But her eyes were firm. She wasn't joking, he nodded. Go. I'll give you time. The girl darted toward the cracked altar at the center of the hall. Her crystal glowed brighter. Symbols along the stone beginning to pulse. The guards noticed instantly. Stop her! One shouted. 3 guards rushed forward. Blasters raised, Ethan stepped out from behind cover. His body moved on instinct, swinging the metal rod. It cracked against the first guard's helmet with a sharp clang. The soldier stumbled, sparks flickering from his visor. The second swung his weapon at Ethan, but Ethan ducked. His heart pounded. Adrenaline burning through his fear. He struck again, this time hitting the guard's arm. The weapon flew from his grip. Skidding across the floor, the third fired. A beam of red light scorched past Ethan's shoulder. He felt the heat sear his skin. Pain flared, but he didn't stop. He lunged forward, slamming the rod against the guard's chest plate. The impact sent them both crashing to the ground. The girl cried out, Human, hurry! Ethan staggered to his feet, blood dripping from a small cut on his brow. The remaining guards closed in, their voices sharp. You cannot win, human. Surrender! Ethan's chest heaved, his muscles screamed, but his voice came out strong. You want her? You'll have to go through me first. Behind him, the altar split open. Stone shifted with a grinding roar, revealing a staircase that spiraled downward into glowing blue light. The girl's crystal shined like a beacon. The guards turned their weapons toward her. But before they could fire, Ethan charged. His rod struck again. Wild but desperate, buying her precious seconds. The girl looked back once, her eyes wide, filled with both fear and something else, trust. Then she shouted, Come now! Ethan broke free, grabbing the fallen weapon from the ground. He fired clumsily, a red bolt striking the wall and forcing the guards to duck. Then he rushed to her side. Together they dashed down the staircase. The altar sealed shut behind them with a heavy slam. Darkness swallowed the hall above, but below, the passage glowed faintly with blue veins running through the stone. The air was cold and ancient. Ethan stumbled against the wall, his breath ragged. That was too close. The girl steadied him, her hand cool against his arm. They won't stop, human. They will follow until one of us falls. Ethan met her gaze. Then you'd better start explaining, because if I'm going to keep risking my life, I need to know the truth. The girl hesitated. Her lips pressed into a thin line, then slowly she spoke. The guards. They are not only soldiers. They are servants of the enemy who destroyed my people. They serve a power that hunts what I carry. Ethan frowned. Enemy? You mean some government? Some empire? She shook her head, tears glimmering in her silver eyes. No, human, not an empire. Something older, something darker. They are shadows hiding inside every world, waiting for the chance to rise again. They fear what is inside this crystal, because it holds their undoing. Ethan's stomach twisted. He wanted to call her mad, but he couldn't. The memory of the carvings glowing under his touch was still fresh. The way the crystal had responded to him, it wasn't normal. The girl stepped closer, her voice soft but unshaking. They know now that you are part of it, human. That is why they will never stop. You are marked. Ethan's blood ran cold. He had thought the danger would vanish if he simply walked away. But now he understood. The enemy wasn't just after her anymore. They were after him too. And in the silence of the glowing tunnel, Ethan realized the worst truth of all. The hidden enemy wasn't just around them. It was waiting inside the path ahead. The tunnel stretched long and narrow, glowing faintly with the blue veins carved into its walls. The sound of their footsteps echoed like whispers of ghosts. Ethan's arms ached from the fight. His shoulder throbbed where the energy beam had grazed him, but he kept walking, following the girl who carried the glowing crystal close to her chest. Finally, the passage opened into another chamber. This one was smaller than the hall above. Its ceiling low, its air cold and heavy. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, forming a circle around a stone pedestal. The girl set the crystal on the pedestal. The light pulsed and the walls seemed to hum. Ethan stared at it, his voice tight. All right, enough running. Enough hiding. I need answers. Who are you really? And why me? The girl lowered her hood. Her silver skin shimmered in the glow. Her voice was soft but steady. My name is Lyra. I am the last of the keepers. My people once protected this memory crystal. But the enemy came, they burned our homes, they hunted us down. I ran, I hid, and now, only I remain. Ethan swallowed. His chest tightened. He could see the pain in her eyes, pain older than her young face. And what does this crystal have to do with me? Lyra looked at him, her silver eyes reflecting the glow. The memory inside is locked, only a human can open it. My people believed humans were chosen long ago, that one day a human would carry the burden and reveal the truth that could end the shadows. Ethan laughed bitterly, shaking his head. You've got the wrong man. I'm no hero. I'm just a traitor trying to survive. I can't even fight properly. Lyra stepped closer, her voice sharp now. You fought for me when you had no reason. You faced soldiers with only a piece of scrap metal. And you're still here, that is enough, her words stung. Because deep down Ethan knew she was right. He could have walked away in the market. He could have left her to the guards. But something inside him had chosen otherwise. He rubbed his face, his voice low. So what happens if I open it? What if I fail? Lyra's eyes softened. If you fail, I die, my people die forever. And the shadows spread. They will take more worlds, perhaps even Earth. The mention of Earth made Ethan freeze. He hadn't been back in years. He had left for the stars to escape his own mistakes. But the thought of his home burning, the thought of families hunted the way Lyra's had been, it clawed at him. He clenched his fists, his voice rough. You're asking me to risk everything, to fight an enemy I don't even understand. Lyra nodded slowly. Yes, because you already risked something when you followed me. The choice is yours, human, but once you choose, there is no turning back. Ethan turned away, pacing in the small chamber. His mind screamed at him to leave, to take the nearest ship, to disappear before the enemy marked him deeper, but his heart weighed heavy. The image of Lyra crying in the shadows. Reaching out to him would not leave. He stopped, his back against the cold wall, his voice cracked. Why me, Lyra? Out of all the humans in this galaxy, why me? Her lips trembled, but her answer was simple. Because when I cried for help, you came. That is what makes you different. The silence that followed pressed heavy. Ethan felt the weight of her words settle deep inside him. It was no longer about what he wanted. It was about what was right. But before he could speak, the ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. A deep rumble rolled through the tunnels. Lyra's eyes widened in fear. They found us. Ethan's head snapped toward the sealed tunnel behind them. The sound of boots and metal rang closer. The enemy was breaking through. Lyra grabbed the crystal, holding it tight. There is no more time, human. Decide now, will you run or will you stand with me? Ethan's breath came fast, his heart pounded. He looked at her trembling figure, so small yet so full of fire. Then at the shadows crawling closer, his choice tore at him. Safety or sacrifice, self or others, he thought of Earth. Of the people who had no idea what storm was rising in the stars. He thought of Lyra, who had no one left but him. He stepped forward, his hand pressing against the crystal. The blue light flared brighter. Symbols on the walls burned like fire. Lyra gasped, her eyes wide. Ethan's voice came out hard, steady. I don't know if I can do this, but I'm not running. Not anymore, the crystal pulsed. Responding to his touch, the chamber filled with a deep hum, almost like a heartbeat. Lyra's lips curved into a trembling smile. Then you have chosen, human, and your choice changes everything. The walls shook again. Louder this time. The sound of weapons charging echoed from the tunnel. The enemy was almost upon them. Ethan held the crystal with her, the glow surrounding them both. He felt its weight sink into him, not just stone, not just memory, but the burden of a war far larger than he ever imagined. And in that moment, Ethan knew the choice was made, and there was no going back. The chamber glowed with the pulse of the crystal. Its blue light spread across the walls, filling the air with a strange hum. Ethan's hand burned where it touched the stone, but he did not let go. Beside him, Lyra held it tighter, her silver eyes shining with hope. But the sound of boots thundered closer. The sealed tunnel above cracked. A sharp voice echoed through the stone. Break it down. The girl must not escape. Ethan's stomach twisted. The enemy was seconds away. He turned to Lyra, his voice sharp. We need to move now. Lyra nodded, clutching the crystal. Together they hurried into a narrow tunnel that led deeper. The walls here were older, covered in carvings long faded by time. Their footsteps echoed like warnings. For a moment there was silence between them. Only the hum of the crystal followed. Then Ethan spoke, his voice low. You trust me with this. But I don't even trust myself. What if I fail you? Lyra glanced at him, her lips trembling but her voice steady. You already chose to stay. That is more than anyone has done for me. That is enough. Her words steadied his heart, but doubt still gnawed at him. He had never been chosen for anything in his life. And now he carried the weight of a people he did not know. The tunnel opened into a cavern with broken pillars and collapsed walls. In the center stood an old gate of stone covered in glowing lines. It pulsed faintly like it was waiting. Lyra stepped forward, holding up the crystal. This gate leads to the inner sanctum. Beyond it lies the truth. If we reach it, we might have a chance. Ethan opened his mouth to speak, but a voice cut through the chamber. A voice cold and mocking. You will not reach it. From the shadows, a figure stepped out. He wore no guard's armor, but his cloak was dark and heavy. His face was partly hidden, but his eyes burned with a strange, unnatural glow. Ethan raised the weapon he had taken earlier, his voice sharp. Who are you? The man's lips curled into a cruel smile. Not your enemy, human. At least not yet. I serve the truth you fear, and I have come for the girl. Lyra gasped, stepping back. You betrayed us. You were one of the keepers, the man chuckled, his voice like poison. Yes, I was, but I learned what you refused to see. The shadows cannot be stopped. They are the future. And I chose to live with power rather than die with honor. Ethan's blood boiled. He stepped in front of Lyra. So you sold her people out? You hunted your own? The man's glowing eyes locked on him. And now, human, you stand in my way, foolish, do you not see? She drags you into a war that is not yours. Leave her, and I may let you live. Ethan's grip tightened on the weapon. His voice was firm. I already chose. I'm not leaving her. The man's smile vanished. His hand lifted, and from his palm dark energy flared. Crackling like lightning, it struck the ground near Ethan, sending him sprawling back. His body burned with pain. Lyra screamed, clutching the crystal tighter. No, you will not take it. The man's laugh echoed through the chamber. You are weak, girl, and your faith in this human will destroy you. He raised his hand again. Dark energy forming, Ethan groaned, forcing himself to stand. His vision blurred, but his spirit burned. He fired the stolen weapon. Red bolts cut through the shadows, forcing the man to dodge. The cavern shook from the blasts. Dust fell from the ceiling. Cracks split the stone. The gate pulsed brighter. reacting to the chaos. The man growled, his voice sharp. You cannot win, human. She will betray you before this ends. They always do. His words sliced into Ethan's mind, planting seeds of doubt. But Lyra's trembling figure, standing defiant with the crystal in her hands, kept him steady. He shouted back, Maybe you betrayed your people, but she hasn't. And I won't either. With a snarl, the man lunged, his dark energy flaring. Ethan blocked with the weapon, the force throwing him backward. His body slammed against a broken pillar, pain ripping through him. Lyra cried out, running to his side. Her tears glistened. Stay with me, human. Please. Ethan forced himself to his feet, his voice hoarse. I'm not done yet. He staggered forward, ready to face the enemy again, but then the cavern's far wall exploded. Guards poured in, their weapons glowing. The dark man cursed, his eyes blazing. Not now. He melted into the shadows, vanishing as the guards stormed in. Their voices thundered, Seize them! Lyra grabbed Ethan's arm. Dragging him toward the gate, the crystal flared, and the stone doors began to open. A blinding blue light poured out. Ethan's legs shook, his chest burned, but he held on. He ran with her. Through the crack of the opening gate, the guards' bolts fired, but the blue light swallowed them, sealing the passage shut. Darkness fell behind, silence ahead. Ethan collapsed to his knees, gasping for air. What? What was that, man? Lyra's face was pale, her eyes filled with sorrow. A traitor. A keeper who gave himself to the shadows. He knows more than I feared. And if he escaped, the enemy will come stronger than before. Ethan clenched his fists. His body ached, his doubts still whispered. But his voice was steady. Then we fight harder. Because if betrayal lives among you, then you'll need me even more. Lyra looked at him, her silver eyes shining. Not with tears now, but with hope. And Ethan realized the truth. The shadows were no longer her enemy alone. They were his too. The blue light faded as the stone gate sealed behind them. The noise of guards, shouts, and weapons vanished. Ethan and Lyra stood in silence, breathing hard. The air here was different, still ancient, almost sacred. Ethan staggered forward, his body aching. The tunnel before them opened into a massive chamber unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls were covered in glowing lines that stretched like veins of light. In the center, a tall structure rose, shaped like a pillar of crystal and stone. Humming with energy, Lyra's voice broke the silence, soft and trembling. This is the core, the memory of my people. The truth is here. Ethan stared at the pillar, his heart pounding. The hum of energy felt alive, like it was calling to him. He swallowed hard, his voice rough. And you think I'm the one who can unlock it? Lyra nodded slowly. You already did, human. In the chamber above, the crystal answered you. It will answer again. Ethan shook his head, disbelief cutting through him. I'm no chosen one, Lyra. I'm just a man who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Lyra stepped closer, her silver eyes glowing in the chamber's light. No, you were in the right place at the right time. That is what fate is. Her words settled heavy in his chest. Ethan turned back to the pillar. His hands shook as he reached forward. The moment his palms touched the smooth surface, the entire chamber flared with light. Symbols ignited across the walls. Ancient voices whispered in echoes. The ground trembled as visions filled Ethan's mind. He gasped, his body stiff. He saw worlds burning, cities consumed by shadow, alien races falling into chains of darkness. He saw the same cloaked man who had betrayed Lyra's people, standing beside creatures made of smoke and fire, whispering promises of power. Then the vision shifted. He saw humans, his own kind, standing among the stars, not as traitors or wanderers, but as warriors and protectors. He saw their ships fighting the shadows, and their hands holding the same crystal he now touched. The voices grew louder, words clear at last. Only the human heart can resist the shadow. Only the human will can carry the burden, chosen not for strength, but for choice. Ethan ripped his hands away, stumbling back, his chest heaved. His eyes wide with shock, Lyra rushed to him. Worry written on her face. What did you see? Ethan's voice cracked. I saw everything, the shadows, the destruction, and humans. Fighting them. Not because they were strongest, but because they chose to. Lyra's lips trembled. Her eyes filled with tears. Then the prophecy was true, she whispered. My people believed humans would be the key, but no one else believed. Until now, Ethan sank to his knees. His mind spun, the weight of the truth crushed him. He wasn't just helping Lyra anymore. He had been drawn into something far larger, Something that touched the fate of galaxies. He lifted his head, his voice hoarse. So that's why you called me. That's why the crystal chose me. Not because I was special, but because I chose to follow you when no one else did. Lyra knelt beside him, her small hand resting on his arm. And that choice shattered the path of the shadows, human. You may not see it now, but you changed everything. Her words gave him strength. But before hope could settle, the chamber shook violently. Cracks split across the walls. The cloaked man's voice echoed faintly. You cannot escape me, human. The shadows will find you. Ethan's jaw tightened. His fear turned to fire. He stood, pulling Lyra to her feet. His voice rang clear. Let them come. I won't run anymore. The pillars' glow dimmed, leaving only the faint hum of energy. Ethan picked up the crystal. Its weight familiar now. Like it belonged in his hands, Lyra watched him. Her silver eyes filled with both fear and faith. As they moved toward the exit, Lyra whispered, You carry the memory of my people now, but you also carry their hope. And mine. Ethan looked at her, his chest tight. He had never thought of himself as a protector, never thought he would be someone's only hope, but now he was. The tunnel opened into a view of the stars through a broken dome. Ships passed in the distance, the galaxy stretching wide and endless. Ethan clenched the crystal, his voice low but firm. This isn't just your fight anymore, Lyra. It's mine too. She smiled faintly, tears glimmering in her eyes. Then we fight together. For a moment, silence stretched, broken only by the hum of the crystal and the distant roar of the galaxy. Ethan felt the burden heavy on his shoulders, but he did not shrink from it. He stood taller, ready. Because the truth had shattered him. Yes, but from the pieces, something stronger was born.